Alright guys, here we are. Stator has finally come in the mail. And yes, I had to go with one of the cheaper, like, knockoff replacement stators. It's all the bolt holes seem to line up on everything, so it looks like it'll be fine. We'll see how that goes. Sadly, I looked everywhere for an OEM stator and they're not in stock anywhere. The only place I was able to even find them was directly from the distributor, and these are extremely expensive and you can't buy them by themselves. You have to buy them, like, I think it's like the whole kind of like Stator Flywheel set, so extremely expensive. I don't expect this to last forever, so my plan is, once I pull this one off, is I believe it could potentially be repaired. So I'm gonna go ahead and see about maybe talking to some people about getting this repaired, so I have this as backup in case this cheap one fails. So let's go ahead and start installing the flywheel, getting the new stator installed. We're gonna have to probably take all this stuff off the tank, pick the tank up, because I believe the plug runs up under the tank. I'm not entirely sure, so let's get to it. Got the new flywheel in there, got the bolt torque down. Let's start disassembling all this to find out where this thing plugs in, and we can start putting all this back together. Alrighty, so I was unplugging the stator, and inside the stator plug there's actually oil. That's how much oil was just everywhere on the bike. That's pretty crazy. So oddly enough, so I gotta snake it back up under here and through there and up under there and through there. So I got to dismantle a few things. I gotta take this chain guard off in order to get the plug through there, and I'm not even sure how I'm getting it through there yet, but let's work on feeding that wire through and getting it installed. Alrighty, so it looks like what it appears that the motor is actually in the way, because I tried getting it through there and actually the entire top of the motor is actually in the way of the plug. So I actually had to snip this one, sadly, but it's, I mean, you could fix it if you had to. So I'm gonna route this one through here, and I hate to do this, but it's gonna go over the frame right here, but then back up under, and then I'm gonna have it up under there through there like it was. But if the bike runs, I'll route this up under the airbox, but the other one is actually up under this piece of the engine, so I'll be able to route this hidden up under the frame if the bike runs. So it's just a temporary kind of way it's gonna run. Let's get it all put back together. I already got the new stator installed on the case cover right here. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these bolts down one last time, torque them all down. I'm gonna go ahead and try to throw these gears back up in there the way they were. Hopefully I remember how they were. We're gonna put some gasket on this and throw it on there, and then onto the fluids. Alrighty, so we got the case back on, stator installed, flywheel installed. Go ahead, I'm gonna torque all these little bolts down here. And then we're gonna move on to, I'm gonna hop over here. I'm gonna throw that coolant hose on there right there. It runs from the water pump over here. And we're gonna drain, if there's any oil in it, we're gonna drain the oil what's left, which I don't think there's any in there. Then we're gonna fill up the oil. Alrighty, so I was torquing down all these bolts and I noticed that the clutch cable is, the adjustment is messed up. I'm not sure, I can't remember when I took it all apart. I don't know if I messed up the adjustment. I can't remember what it was even like. So I put it all back together, but I don't have the cable adjusted on the clutch here. I know it's kind of weird, the clutch cable's over here on this side with the stator, but never seen it like this before. But I'm not gonna adjust the cable just yet. I'm gonna leave it kind of unadjusted right now because I'm not really 100% sure how it goes. I want to be able to get it dialed in, so I'm just gonna worry about getting the bike started before messing with that clutch cable, because that is not required to start the bike at all. So as far as I know, so got that all installed. It's looking pretty good. Let's get over to the other side, get that coolant hose put on. Got that coolant hose installed. Let's go ahead and drain any oil if there's any in there. Get some fresh oil put in it. Oh, look at that. Tiny little bit of oil. Alright, so I went ahead and picked up a bag of engine ice. That's all my town has. There's nothing else I could find for the bike at all. And I was reading this works just as fine as the regular coolant that BMW uses, which is like a blue coolant. Other than that, the only other option I had was distilled water, so we're gonna run with this. Get the coolant filled up. We're gonna put some oil in it. Fingers crossed. Alrighty, so I only added about half the bag. I'm sure it can probably take the whole thing, but I'm not sure about leaks yet. So before I add the whole bag, that's pretty expensive coolant. We're just gonna fill about halfway and see if the bike even runs before filling the system back up. And I believe I have to take it all apart anyways if I want to replace that water pump cover because it has a scratch on it. So before we get ahead of ourselves, let's get some oil in there, see where we're at. Alrighty. It's got oil in it. Everything should be buttoned up correctly. See what happens. There it is. Bike runs. That's pretty cool. I wasn't 100% sure on this one. All that damage it had over here. Looks like I do gotta add a little bit more oil now after running it. I put about a little more than 3 quarts in there. It calls for about 3.5, so I'm gonna definitely put some more in there, top it off, as well as the coolant. Still gotta get the clutch installed right there. I don't fully understand how that works. I want to do some more research and never worked with the clutch from over here, so, because the clutch is over on the other side, but then the cable's over here, so don't understand how that works. Still gotta route this wire the way it's supposed to be. Also want to double check and make sure the stator is actually working. I didn't check the voltage on the battery yet, so I want to do all that. Gotta let it run for a little bit longer. Make sure that the bike's staying to the right temp. But I'm gonna do all those things in the next video. I'm gonna start planning on the parts to order now. Definitely gotta make some decisions because simple things like this right here, this damage is actually, it's gonna be pretty pricey because it's actually damaging the cat right there, not just a slip-on. So I mean, I can't just buy a slip-on, which would be up here. It's actually down under there. So I need to buy, either repair it or buy a full exhaust kit, which would be very expensive. So I got to do some decisions, figure out how I want to do it, what parts I'm going to buy. Another thing that's going to be a big deal is the tank, because the tank's obviously damaged. So I'm not sure if I want to go with the same color tank, if I want to do a tank cover. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do yet. So got to make all those decisions here, order some parts. That's going to be for the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. What an absolute mess. I feel like I used a couple too many tools. I'm not really sure. Gotta clean this all up and get ready for the next round.